Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of HBHA Lore, where each episode I, Micah Margulies, sit down with a person connected to HBHA's past or present. And today I am delighted to have an incredibly special guest who was a huge part of HBHA's past and present. And after a very long, multi-decade tenure working at HBHA, in just a few weeks, she will be sailing off into the sunset with a very well-earned retirement. I'm, of course, joined today by legendary HBHA art teacher Kelly Reichman. Kelly, welcome to HBHA Lore.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, well, I'm excited that you're here as well. So let's start with this. Again, your retirement is coming up soon. How many years have you worked here at HBHA?
This is my 29th year.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Couldn't make it 30.
Couldn't make it to 30, but nearly 30 years is quite an impressive run and nothing at all to sneeze at. And there are lots of HBHA memories that we will certainly dive into. But before we get into that, let's start with looking ahead to the future. So you've got a lot of time on your hands coming up here in just a few weeks when you head into retirement. What are some of the things that you're looking forward to doing most during your leisurely retirement time?
Sleeping.
Sleeping, excellent.
Sleeping and reading and just relaxing. We have a big transition going, in our lives because we're trying to sell one house, and when that gets sold, then we can start making decisions about what we're going to do in the future. So right now we're kind of just in limbo because we're not real sure.
Okay.
So I know that's not exciting, but
no, hey, you have more than earned the right to rest and relax. I know you're a big reader, and we've discussed books in the past before. Any particular genre or type of book that you're especially interested in reading that you tend to gravitate towards, or do you kind of just pick and choose as you go, whatever strikes you in the moment?
well, I kind of pick and choose. If you look in my library, it's got everything from nonfiction to biographies to historical fiction. But I don't really like romance and that kind of stuff. But I probably gravitate towards historical fiction and contemporary fiction.
Any particular book you'd recommend to eager
Well,
listeners to read? Be like, you got to check
somebody
this one out.
just recommended an awesome book to me just lately.
Go ahead.
What was the name of that? The Vanishing Half.
That was me. That was
Ah,
me. Did you enjoy the book?
I did. It was so good.
Yeah. So
So
Vanishing
good.
Half is a book by an author named Britt Bennett. And at HBHA this past year, we did a mystery giveaway right around winter break where teachers could draw a name out of a hat and give gifts to whoever they drew. And I drew Kelly Reichman, and I knew she was a big reader. So that was a book that I loved reading a few years ago. And
Yeah.
I gifted it to you, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I would highly recommend reading it to anyone who likes historical fiction. It's really, really cool.
Yeah. Very interesting. Lot to think about. So much to think about. And he also gave me these beautiful, beautiful metal. I don't know what they were made out of, but these bookmarks, like these artistic,
Yeah,
beautiful
they're like
bookmarks.
there are these metal kind of magnetic bookmarks that I found that each one has a different famous painting on it, and I figured what a
I
perfect gift.
loved them. I was like, God, who's my mystery person?
It was me.
It's awesome.
It was me. Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and you know what? Those are well-earned gifts, as we've talked about. So,
Yeah.
you'll keep us posted with all of your plans. Is there anywhere you're hoping to travel to or visit? Maybe not in the
Well,
immediate future, but while you've got some time.
yeah, not probably not this summer, unless we decide to go somewhere, which we could, especially if we sell our house, then we might take a trip. But I know for sure next February, so almost a year from now, we're going to go to New Zealand and see my son.
Oh my good. Is he living there right now?
Yeah, he's in Wellington.
Oh
So
my.
he's on the North Island, but the very southern part of the North Island. And he's at the university there, the uni. And he got a scholarship to work on his PhD. So he's in a program there and
That
kicking
sounds
it.
that sounds like a pretty great place to do some PhD work, and sounds like a pretty great place to get to visit. You know, if someone's
Yeah.
doing their
And
PhD at the University of Nebraska, that's fun to visit too. But pretty cool that you get to go to New Zealand to visit your son.
and they're paying for it. Like he didn't ask me for 1 cent.
Even better, maybe they can, maybe they can sponsor your trip there to visit him. Say, hey,
I know, that's what I was
part
hoping.
of keeping his spirits up while he's deep in the weeds with this PhD work is having his mom come and visit, and they could sponsor a trip there. That sounds great. I've never been to New Zealand,
I
um,
haven't either.
and but the closest I've come is watching the Lord of the Rings movies, which I know were filmed there. But I don't feel like it quite is the same as actually going to New Zealand.
Mhm. You know, you would probably be really interested in his work.
What's he doing?
I don't know if I've told you about it. He's taking an Iraqi poet from the 1950s
Okay.
who was kind of he was like a nationalist
Okay.
and so kind of controversial.
Mm-hmm.
And he's taking some of his poetry and, Sam speaks and writes Arabic.
Okay.
So he's translating it into it's in Arabic. He's translating it into English, and then he's writing a comment. Like he's
Uh-huh.
a commentary, a running
Mm-hmm.
commentary. But he's also incorporating art. He's doing a lot of painting and drawing
Oh
for
my goodness.
this. It's absolutely beautiful, and letterpress. He's learning to use that. And it's all under the umbrella of nationalism. So
Wow.
it's very interesting, especially now.
That sounds really incredible. Do you know if it's ever been translated into English before, or is he like the first one to
I
translate the
don't know
poetry?
that, but he's translating it into English. Is that right? And then he's writing in Arabic the
With his commentary?
commentary. And so he's studying a lot of uh, Old Hebrew,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know the exact name that's called.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Aramaic. I don't know. And so he's learning a lot, very because he posts stuff all the time. It's really interesting.
That sounds quite fascinating. Maybe I'll have to hop on and chat with him because that sounds fascinating.
Um, Actually, it's way more fascinating than I'm describing it.
It sounds amazing. But we're also here to talk about and celebrate you. So that's looking a little bit to the future. But let's
Yeah,
also go back a little bit to the past. So you said you've been here at HBHA for 29 years. That's a long time.
yeah.
But let's go back a little bit before that, to your childhood. Where are
Oh
you
my God,
from?
oh my
Where did you
God.
grow up, Mrs. Reichman?
We don't want to go there, really.
That's okay.
Okay,
Where are we from here?
I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma,
Mm-hmm.
which is just kind of a smaller version of Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful little city,
Mm-hmm.
really beautiful. Great place to grow up. You know,
And
we rode our bikes everywhere, and
tell us a bit about like the time between when you maybe graduated high school and how before you came to HBHA. So you graduate, you go off to where, and what were you studying?
what did I do?
What did you do?
Okay,
It's
so
been a
this is
while ago.
very varied.
That's okay.
So
We
I
like a varied
graduated
experience.
from high school from a small Catholic all girls school.
Okay.
Yeah. So I graduated from high school. I went to the junior college. You have to understand, I was the last of 5 children.
Okay.
So I was the last one. So I didn't get like the elite educations that my brothers got
Oh yeah.
due to other reasons. But anyway, I went to the junior college. And then my godmother was living in Europe, in Germany, no, in Austria, no, in Germany. And she called and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm in school." "No, you're not. You're coming to Germany." So I went to Germany for a year
Oh wow.
and lived with a family, and I was an au pair.
Okay.
So I was a 19-year-old American girl as an au pair.
Were you going to school in Germany there or just working there?
Well, no, I wasn't like formally going to school, but I was taking German classes and other classes of interest just to have meet people and learn German. So I stayed there for a year, and then I came home, and I think I went back to school. Okay, so I went back to school to Oklahoma State.
Uh-huh.
And that was a kick because uh, that's where I started singing.
Okay. I thought you were going to say started doing art, but singing is also great.
Well, I was doing art. I was
Uh-huh.
taking art. I was like an art major. And then I decided maybe I wanted to be a music major because I was singing with bands
Oh,
in
see, this is
Stillwater.
why we have this podcast, Kelly, so that people know that you're not just an artist, but you are a musical savant. Tell us a little bit about this
Well,
singing
I
talent
was a
now.
very good singer back then, and I sang with various bands, and I even got a call from a man named Garth Brooks.
Oh, okay, I'm familiar.
He went to school there while I was there, and he had a band, but they were very like hard country, very country. I mean, I sang a lot of like Patsy Cline and, that kind of stuff, but we lean more towards country rock.
Okay.
And so I did that for like a year and a half, and it was unbelievably fun.
Wait, with Garth Brooks or
No, no.
okay,
So what
okay.
I was going to say is I did the singing gigs with, these various bands, and sometimes solo, sometimes I just had a guitar backing me up.
Oh wow.
Um, and then I was going to move out to California, various reasons why, and to the San Francisco area. And this guy called me up, and I'd heard of him because I'd heard of his band. And so Garth calls me up and he's like, come on, come on. I mean, he called me several times and was trying his best to talk me into singing with his group. But I kept telling him, I'm only going to be here 2 weeks. I don't have time. I got to get ready to move. And he was like, no, just come on. We can work up, like a set.
Uh-huh.
But, he was kind of dweeby, and I just wasn't really into country, and
So was this before he was very famous?
oh yeah,
So there could be a whole alternate reality where instead of teaching art for 3 decades at HBHA, you and Garth Brooks are a
yeah,
country music singing duo, nationally renowned. But we
yeah,
benefited from the choice. But that's amazing.
yeah, yeah. So I remember being out in California, and I was like, wait, no, what? That's not the same guy I knew. And I remember, a couple of years after that, asking a friend of mine whom I lived with in Stillwater, and she's like, yeah, no, that's totally him. It's like, wow, man, I missed that bus.
So it sounds like you did singing for quite a while, at least like a couple of years that you were singing. How did you get into that? Was that something you studied or just something that you've always enjoyed doing when you were
I
young?
just, when I was a kid, I sang in the choir at
Uh-huh.
church and did that from the time I was probably 15
Hmm.
until I was 18, because I was like, I'm out of here. But but I was a really good singer. I had a really strong, pretty voice. And due to other health reasons, I have lost that capacity.
That's okay.
But I don't know. I don't know how I got into it. I think somebody heard me singing and they're like, "Wow, you have a pretty nice voice. You want to
Join the
try
band.
setting up some stuff?" And I was like, "Okay." And then it just kind of rolled from there.
That is really cool. Do you ever try your hand at writing any songs or anything, or you just
No,
took what they handed you and you belted that out? Well,
no, I never could figure out how to even play the guitar. I just couldn't. Nah, no.
um, that's very cool. So you're at Oklahoma State. You're doing some singing. Um, were you also studying art at the time?
Yes, yes. So I was studying art and music, actually, just vocals.
Hmm.
But I had to audition to get into this very conservative music program.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, musicians are really smart people.
Oh yeah.
Not that I'm not smart, but I just didn't want to like study like actual music and theory and all that.
Yeah.
But so you actually have to audition to get into this really conservative program. And
Huh?
so I brought this old cowboy looking dude with me, with a hat and big handlebar mustache and boots. And he just comes in with his guitar and we sang.
Was it your buddy Garth?
No,
Oh, not
no,
your buddy. Different guy.
no, no. So the song I sang for my audition. Now you got to remember that when people audition to get into this music program, they're singing arias and stuff concerned, more formal classical things. I came in and sang "I Fall to Pieces" by Patsy Cline.
To me, I think it'd be a great choice.
I thought it was a good choice.
I would have accepted you on the spot.
Well, they actually let me in the program on probation.
Okay. So look at this. You could have had there's a whole other music pathway. But you ended up with art. So which I'm certainly curious about. So talk to us a little bit about that in terms of is art something you gravitated towards when you were really young? Did you get into it in college?
Yeah.
What was kind of your journey of what got you started in the art world?
Yeah, no, just since I was real little, really. I remember my dad bringing home old papers from work and I'd draw on the back of them. And I always liked drawing people, and I learned how to draw faces in middle school. And I just always loved drawing and art of any kind, but I really got interested in art history because, as you know, I love history.
Oh, yeah.
So what better? It was awesome. It was my love. So I really loved, so I got my master's. I did all the coursework, but the thesis.
That's okay.
In art history? I did all the coursework in art history.
Okay. And then, so you graduate, you studied art. Did you know you wanted to become an art teacher, or were you hoping to do art professionally? Did you know you wanted to go into the teaching side?
I had no clue what I wanted to do.
Okay.
I knew I liked teaching. And by that time I was teaching, I had little kids. And so I was teaching preschool, teaching art in preschool, at B'nai Yehuda. Yeah, B'nai Yehuda. And at Camelot Academy, that was a summer camp. It was a summer arts camp. And if any alums are listening to this, they will know exactly what that is. So I was working there in the summer, and I really was trying to find a job, something. And somebody told me, actually the woman who ran Camelot Academy, her name was Gina Phillips. She was the art teacher here.
She was my art teacher when I was very young. Before you stepped in.
Yeah. And so she was an art teacher, and she goes, you know what? I know it's not teaching art or anything like that, but they have an opening for an aide at the school, somebody to help out in classes. And I was like, great. She goes, it's a foot in the door and it'll get you started. And so now 29 years later, I ran the art department for 25 years.
Incredible. You know what? It's so funny because one of the first episodes I did was with Laura Hewitt, another very long tenured HBHA teacher and everything. And her story was kind of similar. She was like, I was working the garden at my house and my neighbor was like, hey, they need us.
Right. I saw that.
She showed up one day and was here for 30 plus years. So that's how it happens here. Someone says, hey, stop by for a visit. You need your help. And then next thing you know, 30 years have gone by and you've spent an entire career here. So this was your first full-time teaching position, right?
Yeah, I was teaching at the preschools before that.
But in a formal K through bigger school setting,
right.
which is amazing. And like I alluded to, yeah, Miss Phillips, she was my art teacher up until maybe like second grade or so.
Yeah,
And then around third grade,
yeah.
you came in. So I've been with you since the
Art
very
on a
beginning.
cart. Was it art on a cart?
Yeah. Art on a cart, amazing. So let's obviously you've done so much in your time here. Um, and I want to get into some of that. What are, you've developed so many probably different projects and things over the years. Just thinking back about your time and all the different activities and projects you've done, what are some things that when you're looking back on your career here, you're like, I really loved that? And it could be a project that you did every year. It could have been something that happened
Mhm,
once, but just a few things
mhm.
maybe you're really proud of or that really stand out to you out of all those hundreds and hundreds of
Well,
various art projects you've done with students.
the first thing that comes to mind are those black and white pencil portraits that the high school did. They're like huge, they're big. And so the kids learn how to grid and, grid from a small photograph to a large drawing. They learn how to blow it up, so to speak, and grid those out. And then learning how just, I love teaching drawing classes. I don't know why. It was my favorite.
So give us a little bit of a peek behind the curtain here, because it's from a teacher's perspective of, art is one of those things that some people love it and are naturally really good at it and kind of have this intrinsic motivation to succeed. And there, you're probably kind of helping guide them and shape them and telling them to trust their instincts. But then you've also got students like me. I would be the first one to say that I am not the most artistically inclined person. I struggle to draw. I struggle to paint. I can't like picture it in my mind. If you're talking to a
Neither can
student,
I.
uh, and yet, so if you're talking to someone, how do you help someone who maybe doesn't think of themselves as a great artist or doesn't have that idea, that roadmap in their head? How do you
Well,
kind of coax them and coach them through the process of
well,
getting
okay.
started and
So,
thinking?
Micah, this is something I really do teach
Yeah.
from kindergarten. Like, I have all these apples that people have drawn. And so I talk to the kids in kindergarten, first grade about how to talk about their art or someone else's art. So, in other words, I mean, I'm not going to go through everything, but I just don't allow the kids to be negative. So I don't allow them to speak negatively about their work or anybody else's. It's like if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. They are not allowed to say, "Do you like this?"
Hmm.
Because that just invites all kinds of negative aura. And and so when we are talking about art, I might have to close the door. Um, it's very important that they understand and they learn that art is not good or bad. Okay.
Hmm.
It's just not. There's no intrinsic good or bad value to it. It's a, everyone has a different style.
Hmm.
And so I always tell the kids, oh, we're not talking about good or bad. It's just everyone has a different style.
Hmm.
So yours is not better or worse than his. It's just different. Then we talk about the apples and how they're all apples, but they're all different, just like kids, we're all the same, but we're all different. And that's how art is. It's just what you like. And I absolutely adore children's art.
Hmm.
It's so fresh and so meaningful and just so sweet.
Well, what I'm hearing, and which is really cool, is it sounds like for a big thing that you focus on is the mental aspect of things, right? That you're
Yeah.
starting with them, not about like, okay, here's how you draw a horizon, here's how you do it. Obviously, you teach them that, but you're
Yeah.
really almost thinking of yourself like a coach, right? Like you
Yes.
have to get in the right mindset and you have
Yeah.
to erase those doubts and be confident and comfortable with whatever you are doing. And once that mental side is kind of taken care of, then yeah, we can work on the specific details.
Right.
And I mean, really, people say it all the time. It's incredible the amount of amazing artists that you've taught over
Yeah.
the 3 decades, and I'm sure that you're very modest and humble that you'll say, yeah, we've had incredible people, but
We
I think a
have.
big we have, but I think a big part of that is also you helping guide them for all those years and teaching them to trust themselves and being there to help coach them through things. Because what always amazes me is not just the naturally more gifted artists who are able to do things, but when I see artwork from a whole class posted, and every one of them, like you said, is interesting in their own way, right? And every one of them is kind of this unique creation.
Hmm.
Um,
And the
and
cool thing about that is watching these kids grow over all the years. And at most points of the time in the year, you know, you can show me anybody's artwork and I can tell you whose it is
oh, that's
because they
cool.
have their own style
Yeah.
and they carry that style with them through the years.
Now
I mean,
that would
it's really fun.
if I had planned ahead, that would have been a really fun game to play here where I snag 10 different random pieces
Mhm.
of art from 30 years of artwork, show it to you, and say, guess who this is? And you're like,
Yeah.
class of 2013. I know
Well, I wouldn't be that good.
that was maybe
I'd
I'd give
be
you the
like,
year. I'd
that's
give you the graduation
symbology.
year. I'd give you the graduation year. That would be a fun game. But no, it's just for me, it as an English teacher, it's similar with like students writing that even
Hmm.
without their
Yeah,
name on it, not just
same.
their handwriting, right? I mean, just typed
No,
work. I could be like, oh, I that's the way this person sounds. But it's
right,
really cool how everyone kind of gets their own artistic voice there.
right, exactly, exactly.
So you mentioned kind of those black and white um, drawings that you like having them do. How about maybe some unusual or unconventional projects that you've done over the years? Are there any that you've done where you're like, I really tried pushing them to do this tough thing or unusual thing, and whether it ended up working out the way you anticipated or not? I'm sure you've tried all sorts of different
Well,
things over the years.
there was one year when we were down in the basement. Remember the art classroom started out, I started out down in the basement, which was
Mm-hmm.
awesome because we had so much space.
That is what is
And
now the
we,
CrossFit room.
yeah,
For
now
people
it's
for
the
people who know the
CrossFit.
layout of the J, right? What is now that huge CrossFit space for a long time. Back in my day, when I was a student,
Yes.
on one side we had Kelly in the art room. Edna Meltzer had a Hebrew room next door, and then across the hallway was Mr. Dimbert in the journalism lab. That was the
Yeah.
basement before it got a total renovation.
Oh my God, we had so much fun down there.
It's like your own
And
little
it got
private
loud.
lair.
And it got loud in the art room. And I remember at one time, Laura Hewitt had a class across where Denver was.
Mm-hmm.
And she would come over more than once and say, can you keep it down, please? And I'm like, no.
It's art. It's loud. It's a creative process, is what you said.
Right. I mean, I remember exactly where you sat. And you sat always next to Jordan.
Oh yeah,
Uh-huh. And I remember there was what's it called? The music thing on your shoulder.
like a boombox.
Yeah, there was a boom box down there. This was, before,
Yeah, we didn't have your fancy schmancy iPods.
mhm. So there was a boom box down there, and Danny Weitzman would love to put on what were those Rangers? What was that? Power Rangers.
Okay.
Somebody brought it, he probably brought it in, the disc of the
Mm-hmm.
Power Ranger soundtrack.
Okay. Uh-huh. And just blast
He
out while
would
doing some
put
art.
that on loud and carry it on his shoulders and dance around the room to Power Rangers, like almost every time he had class. And I
Incredible.
just would sit and laugh because I thought it was hilarious, but some other teachers might not have.
Well, it's whatever gets them in the mood to do the art. But I
Yeah.
remember what I was asking. We went on the tangent down to the basement, but I was
Oh,
asking about kind of unusual
oh,
projects
yes.
or anything that maybe was off the beaten path, but you're like,
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
really
So
cool thing
that's
that we
why
tried.
I thought about the basement. So when we were in the basement, we were removed pretty much from the whole school. And so one of my favorite projects was mosaicing.
Uh-huh.
And so I would tell the kids to bring in any old, like colored glass or plates or dishes, anything that their parents don't want anymore, and we'll break it up. And so we put anybody who brought glass, because sometimes they brought wine glasses or wine bottles. I mean, it was actually pretty great. And I'd put them in a sack, and then I'd get a hammer and just start pounding away at them. And so I would but those were glass shards, so I couldn't take them out of the bag. But there happened to be a place that did mosaics very close by, and they would tumble it for you.
Okay.
Meaning they would tumble it so it would no longer be sharp, dull the edges. And I mean, just so many times down there, just breaking up plates and screwing around. But it was really fun. I mean, we got some beautiful work out of it.
So yeah, and one of the things that I know you like to do is have students work in a wide variety of genres and mediums. Just give us maybe a bit of a rundown, because people who have been in your art class, they know the different things that they've done over the years, but people who aren't are probably curious. People who maybe don't think about it that deeply might think, man, what are all the different things you can do in an art class? You teach them to draw, you teach them to paint, but you just gave an example there with mosaicing. What are some of the different types of art that you maybe expose students to over the time of their career?
I mean, really everything except kiln work,
like pottery, ceramics.
Yeah, everything except that. I mean, I do have air dry clay, and we do, have fun things with that. But my personal belief is that drawing is the most important and the basis for everything else. So we start kind of there in middle school and high school. And then, they do everything. They watercolor, they build, I don't know if you can see this. Can you see?
Oh, yes. Dog? Look at that. That's amazing.
Yeah, Kira Weitzman is working on that, and that's why I have plaster all over me.
I was going to say, is that a paper mache?
Yeah, so it's paper mache. Actually, I want to show it to you more closely.
Please do. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm happy to take a look at some artwork here. That's incredible.
Can you see it?
I can see that. So what's the process? Just talk us through briefly. Here's a great example here. Like, what's the process of something like that? Do they start with a drawing? Do they start with what are they? How does something like this come about?
They have to kind of get a mental image in their head, and if that's what they want to do with drawing, then great. Here's somebody who did what is that? A fish thingy, Ray. So, I mean, there's this like really great stuff. Look at this little dude. I know we're not here for show and tell. But
no, I would love to be here for show and tell. And so are all of these?
Isn't that cool?
Are these all different? Are these from the same?
These are all paper mache.
Okay. That's quite the seahorse.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't finished, but this is really, really good.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's a great looking elephant. It took me a second. It was out of focus for a second, but now I can see that. This is great. Are they going to paint? I saw like the seahorse look painted. Is the idea that they'll all be painted in the end?
Yes. So the seahorse is painted. Here's a little froggy guy who's.
Oh, wow.
These
look amazing. So you were starting to talk about the process of this. They start with a mental image. Like, are they looking at a picture? Are they actually looking at an animal?
They can.
Okay.
Like this one, this dinosaur, she drew it out until it became what she wanted it to look like. And then I just tell them it has to be three-dimensional. It's So they start out with a paper mache, the drawing, and then they build it, and they can build it out of crunched up paper or use a wire scaffolding or, anything like whatever they can do to build it. A lot of times they use cardboard, but they'll draw it out and then, they'll just fill it in. Like you can see Kira's was quite filled in. And then they tape it all, using tape. They tape it together and get it to look the way they want it to look. And then they use these plaster strips, like when you get a cast on your arm.
Mm-hmm.
So they cut up these strips, and that's what I did today. I started doing that for her, like putting all the strips on. You usually have to do 2 coats of the strips, and then it is rock hard. It's awesome. And then they paint it. They prime it and paint it.
That's really cool. And like you said, they're using so many different artistic tools and
Right,
mediums
right,
within just that one project, right?
right,
Within there, you're
right.
drawing, you're painting, you're plastering. And like you said, like the drawing is almost the foundation. It's like the grammar of art. It's like, okay, you
Exactly.
need that can be the foundation for even if you drawing is not your preferred medium, you can use it as a launching point for whatever it is that you want to
Right.
explore. Um, and what's cool is, a lot of these projects are forcing students to do things almost like they're driving without a roadmap, right? Where they're having
Uh,
to do things that they've never done before, right? And it's
yeah.
like, how do you help a student get started when they're like, drawing, painting, they've done that before, but when they're doing something new, if there's a student who's never done paper mache before,
Well,
how
I
do you
I
help them
try
get going with it?
to I try to like demonstrate,
Mhm.
like I'm like in like second grade. I have to actually, well, I need to actually
Mhm.
demonstrate and show the kids how to mix colors,
Mhm.
paint.
Yeah.
And it's really a fun fun presentation because they're oh, and they love it, and then
Yeah.
they know how to do it. And for the older kids, I just really demonstrate and show them examples. That's why my art room is so full of old art. One, I can't bear to throw it out.
Oh yeah. I know you've got
Um,
drawers and drawers
I
of
do.
artwork. Do you have a plan for what you're going to do with all that artwork when you
Not yet.
okay.
I don't know.
Oh,
What I would love to do is at my retirement party, put it all out and have people, if they're, or if they know somebody, or, or if they even just want it, maybe even have an auction. I don't know.
yeah, well, I was going to say an art auction of HBHA
Hmm.
artwork would be incredible because I
Yeah.
mean, you've got probably thousands of things from over the years, and I'm sure it
I
is
don't know,
hard to get rid of.
thousands, but I got a
You got a
lot.
lot.
But also I've kept them because they're good and
Yeah.
kids don't take their stuff home. And it's like I want to just say, why won't you take your art home? I don't get it. But they're also great, like I said, for examples, because
Mhm.
then the kids can see
You
a
can see it.
completed project and say, okay, I get it.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I love the fact that we got to see some of those examples of work in progress right now. All
Mhm.
right, I've got kind of a philosophical question for you, but no, I think you'll have a good answer for this. I think I have a good
Mhm.
answer. So luckily not at our school, but I know this doesn't apply at our school, but at a lot of schools around the country, there's a lot of, situations where programs like art and music and non-core academic classes get slashed, right? At our
Right.
school, we do a great job of really making sure that it's a big part of the experience. So I want to ask you, as an art teacher who's been doing this for 3 decades with students, why do you feel, just philosophically, that it is such an important part of students' schooling experience, and why it should be an essential thing, not just for students here, but really all around the country to have an art class and have that be a part of their day?
Well, I mean, it's part of the human experience, really. And you're going to experience it one way or another. Just even if you don't have those classes, you see things, right? You hear things. But if you have those classes, now you understand them. Now oh, wow, those lights start going off, those bulbs start. And it's such a natural high, to be a part of that and to, I don't know, I don't even know how to word it.
No, I think you explained it really well. I mean, it is a part of the world, right? And it's a part of how
Yeah.
people experience things, whether they think of themselves as artists or not. They're encountering it, they're interacting with it. Um, and something I know you'll agree with this, that I can say as a colleague who's worked with you for the past 13 years is, we as a faculty spend a lot of time discussing students and how we can best help students, whether that's in parent-teacher conferences or meetings we have about how grades are going. And something almost a running joke that we'll have in the faculty is if we're
Oh,
discussing
it's a running joke.
how we can help someone, or if maybe someone's struggling, you will inevitably chime in with, they're doing great in art.
They're doing great in art.
And it's a joke, but it's also very much not a joke in the sense that sometimes students might struggle in a lot of different areas. They have trouble sitting still, or trouble with math, or trouble with reading, but art is engaging a different part of their brain. And it's letting them interact with school in a different way, letting students who might not enjoy certain aspects of school enjoy it and be creative. And, there's things they have to do, rules they have to follow, but there's also a lot of creativity and flexibility and freedom that they might not have in others. And I know for a lot of students, it's like a lifeline for them in their school day.
Yes. It engages their right brain, which we all want to be engaged in, because it has a lot to do with how you see the world and how you feel it and experience it. And these kids who struggle academically, 9 out of 10 are like incredible artists.
Yeah.
I don't know why, and like the kids who struggle to sit quiet in class, and I say it with all sincerity. I'm not making a joke. Like, they're great in art. These kids, their right brain takes over, and it's like a meditation almost.
No, I think that what you're saying is exactly right. And what you talked about, engaging their brain differently, right? It's allowing them to think in a different way than they're used to, and a lot of people can connect to that, right? Which is, it's really incredible experience, an essential one, I would say, that you're giving them.
And so with the projects, they're not just free for all.
Yeah.
In fact, the kids will say I'm pretty strict because you have to follow guidelines. But I'm more strict about behavior. I'm not strict about the outcome of the art. But I give them guidelines. I show them examples. I demonstrate. And we talk about if there's something that needs to be discussed about it in particular. But after they get the guidelines, and it's usually just like 3, then I'm like, but this, I want you to contribute to. I want you to put, your own thoughts or visions into this.
Yeah.
So I said, what you can do A, B, and C, but then I want you to take it over. Yeah. Just make sure these things are done.
It's like giving them flexibility and freedom within a certain parameter, right? And but encouraging them.
And they need that, and they want that. They want that. First of all, they want those boundaries, because it's scary diving into something that you don't know what you're doing. So if you have boundaries, if you have guidelines, then you're like, okay, I can do that. I can do that. And then it pushes them a little bit further to do the other scary thing.
That's right. How about, we've talked a lot about you as an art teacher. I'm curious about you as an artist. When you sit down to do art, and I know, maybe some days, maybe some years, you're like, I don't want to do any art because I'm spending all day immersed in art teaching. But whether it's current stuff or stuff that you've done just in your life in the past, when you do art, what's the type of art that you like to gravitate towards? Do you like drawing? Do you like painting?
Yes, drawing is my first love. I just love drawing. I don't care if it's realistic or doodles, or like I do have a bunch of stuff on Instagram, just for examples of stuff I have been working on the last few years. But like, I like to make jewelry. I love mosaics. I actually like plaster of Paris, or I keep calling it that's old school.
Paper mache.
Paper mache.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I don't know. I really like to do everything. But there were many, many years I didn't do anything, just because I was exhausted every night I came home. But sorry, it's going to get loud. The kids in the hall.
Oh, that's okay.
But yeah, drawing, I think, is my first. And then I just like to learn new skills,
Oh, yeah. And maybe in your retirement time, you'll have a little break from the teaching, and it'll invigorate some artistic endeavors once when you put the book down. Sometimes put the book
Right,
down,
right.
take a pencil
No,
out.
but I do plan wherever we end up.
Hmm.
I do plan to have a studio art room.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, because I've got all the stuff to put in it. I just need a big room.
I see over your shoulder, we've got all of these various posters of famous
Yeah.
artists. And I know you said that art history is a passion of yours. Is there a particular artist or handful of artists that you're like, this is the one who I love the most, or I'm intrigued by the
No,
most,
not really.
or a style?
I mean, I was really, really drawn to not early American art, but like the Harlem Renaissance period of American art. Absolutely love it. And German Expressionism was always a favorite of mine.
Okay. So tell us, German Expressionism is something I know very little to nothing about. What can you tell me
It
about
was
German Expressionism?
mostly like a social commentary about what was happening. When was this? Before the war, during the war. Like a lot of these artists were probably imprisoned or
Yeah.
they left and came to America because their art was pretty truth telling.
Yeah, art almost going back kind of to what you were talking about at the beginning with the things that your son is exploring right now, using art and
Mhm.
poetry as social commentary in a
Yeah,
way, is very cool.
yeah.
Um, I'd like to before we wrap up, zoom out a little bit from the art side of just thinking of you as an art teacher, but thinking about your role and your place within the history of HBHA for 30 years here, almost 29, but we can round up to basically 3 decades here. Um, I mean, that's a lot of time that you've spent in this one building, some down in the basement. Now you've gone up a
Mhm.
floor. And obviously your primary role has been art teacher, but you've also been, I know, a mentor, and you've just gotten to know so many students. Just looking back on your career here, how would you, I know it's kind of hard to encapsulate all of it, but what has kept you in this one building and in this one role for basically your entire professional career?
Well, for one thing, I mean, Highland Brand has let me do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
Hmm.
Like I don't have to follow all these really strict, crazy rules or anything.
Uh-huh.
So I've been able to just develop my own program and they let me do it. So I
Yeah.
did it.
And it's an incredible program that you've made over the years.
Yeah. But I tell you, the other really neat thing about being here this long is seeing kids of kids come back.
Oh yeah.
Like I taught Danny Weitzman, and
Uh-huh.
now I'm teaching every single one of his kids.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's amazing.
Yeah, that is incredibly cool. And like I alluded to, we have so many students who have been really artistically talented, many of whom have gone on to do either careers in art or at least continue to pursue
Art
art as a
related.
really passionate hobby of theirs.
Hmm.
And I know a lot
Yeah.
of them have kept in touch with you, and I'm sure that's really cool too, seeing them grow and their careers and their interests evolve, and being like, hey, I remember you when
Yeah.
you were in third grade,
Yeah.
doing art with you. Um, but it's, I mean, we have been certainly lucky to have you here for that entire time,
Thank
and the impact you've had, like you said, not just on a generation, but now multiple generations
you. Hmm.
of HVAC.
Yeah. And the other thing I would say about that is that I really, really hope that I leave the kids with, like, I always try to keep it really positive and upbeat. They're not allowed to talk negatively. And they know that, boy, by the time they're in middle school and high school, if like somebody new comes in and says something, they all look at him, they look at me, and they're like, you can't say that in here.
That's right. Even after you're not in the room, they'll know the philosophy that has to remain.
Right, right. So, I mean, I just always wanted to keep it really positive and inspirational and fun, fun.
It is fun, and like I said, you were my art teacher for most of my
Yeah.
time at HBHA, and even though, like I said, I'm not the most gifted artist, I won't say that. I won't. I mean, I did say it, but that's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I can do it, and I always loved art class. I
Oh,
never
good.
even though it was difficult for me, it was not a thing that came naturally, and still doesn't. I enjoy doing it,
Hmm.
and
Oh,
I
good.
I have a fun time doing art, even if it is a challenge, even if it is challenging for me,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
great. I always like to wrap up with some kind of rapid fire fun questions. So well, it's okay. These will be good. So you can answer these in as little or as much depth as you want. All right. So first one I've got for you is, people know the art biggies: Picasso, Monet, Van Gogh. People know that. Give us maybe a lesser known artist who many people might not know about, but you're like, you should check if you like art, you should maybe check out the artwork of this artist.
Um, God, I'm so bad with names, but here
Yeah,
I've
they
got
might be on the
my list.
poster behind you.
Oh, God, they're all so good. I
I
don't know.
know. You can give more than one if you want.
God, I mean, Escher,
Uh-huh.
Escher was a genius. Bosch, who
Okay.
was way earlier, he was like in the 1400s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Really bizarre. He was like the first surrealistic artist,
Okay.
like before his time.
Uh-huh.
Um, I love all the social. I love the social commentary artists, the
Okay.
social realists,
Mm-hmm.
just everyday art, everyday genre.
Okay. I mean, those all sound like good recommendations. How about I don't know if you well, this is kind of connected to that, but and if you have an answer, you can, but if not, that's okay. Do you have a favorite, or if not a favorite, just one that comes to mind, piece of artwork where you're just like, this one really touches my heart or my soul, and I just come back to this one, and it really is inspiring for whatever reason that I love looking at it.
Well, I loved the color field artists.
Mm-hmm.
Dang it, what was that guy's name? Uh, he was actually Jewish.
Oh,
Uh, he did the big color fields with like pinks and golds and maybe a strip of blue.
oh, uh-huh.
Can't think of his name right now, but
That's
I
okay.
don't know why. That's not no people in that, no everyday scene in that, just color.
Just
But I
right.
love them. I love those. I don't
Okay.
know. I like
You like it
everything.
all. You paint with a wide brush, as they say. You might have already given this answer, but maybe not. You said, we talked about your singing days in the past. Did you have a particular favorite song to sing? Was it that Patsy Cline song that you auditioned with, or just what was your favorite song? That
Well, um, Quarter Moon in a 10-Cent Town by Emmylou Harris. That
Oh,
was a good one.
okay. You're giving people some good paintings and some good songs to
And any Patsy Cline. I loved singing Patsy Cline.
okay. And last one I'll go with here for you, which is, again, we've established that you're a big reader. And I know you started with the book recommendation, The Vanishing Half. That's one you've read recently. But do you have a favorite book or favorite author of all time that you're just like, this is the one that really sticks with me the most?
I mean, there's too many.
The trend I'm seeing is you love to learn. You love music, you love art, you love reading, and it's not about one specific thing. You just kind of like the always immersing yourself in it. But um, really, to wrap things up, I'm so glad that I got a chance to sit down with you. And I've on a personal level, I've known you basically my whole life.
I
As
know. I
as a
know.
student, as a colleague, and it's been wonderful. And I know that I'm just one of dozens and dozens and dozens of people who feel that way and who've gotten to know you in so many different ways. Yes, go ahead.
One more thing, something that you and I have in common
Sure.
is another thing that I got into for several years was ballroom dancing.
Oh yeah, my wife is a big
Yeah,
ballroom dancer.
remember we
I've
talked about
dabbled in
that.
it myself. Yes, go on. What kind of
Yeah,
ballroom
it
dancing are
was.
we talking?
It's just so fun. Oh my gosh.
What are
And
we
I knew
talking?
you guys did it.
Yeah, like swing dancing
Yeah,
or
all of it. I learned everything.
like swing, a little waltz, maybe a little tango.
Swing, yes, I loved waltz. Yes, waltzing,
Oh,
swing, waltz, salsa, rumba,
you can do it all.
cha-cha.
Well, you've got what I hope for you, Kelly, is after 3 decades of passionately teaching students that you'll have time to read and listen to music and do art and dance to your heart's content. And
Hmm.
your impact here, like you said, it will be felt long after you're gone. Even if you're not in the room, that philosophy of everyone can be an artist and that they can and should feel empowered to do art in whatever way works for them, knowing that each one of them is an artist.
Yeah.
I think you've instilled that in everyone, and I know
Yep.
that will, and I know people really do internalize it. And trust me, as someone who is not an art teacher, who's a classroom teacher, the most common thing I see people doing in my class is not reading, is not writing, is not talking about books. It's drawing. They are doing art, whether they're in art class or not. The people love to draw, and I know you
Yeah.
are a huge part of that reason why.
Sorry.
No, it's great. I mean, as long as they're listening to,
Yeah,
and
right.
then
Right.
so many of them have gone on to be artists, and I'm not going to slow them down. They're going to keep on doing it.
Yep.
So, on a personal level, I just want to say that that I will miss you, and I know that the entire HBHA community will miss you. And I'm so glad that before you retired, we got to do this wonderful HBHA lore interview, and then we get to send you off in style with the retirement party that's coming up soon, which will be wonderful as well.
Yeah, May 4th. Be there, be square.
That's right, and this will air before then, so people will hear it and they'll know. Okay, I got to get myself that retirement party. So
Yeah, go
Kelly,
pick up your, come get your artwork.
that's right. If you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I did a painting that she might have, reach out to Kelly and make sure that you get a chance to snag that artwork.
Yeah.
So this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for talking with
Oh,
me.
thank you. This
And
has been.
thank you so much. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.